Hey YouTube, I'm Montreal.
I'm BJ, and these are the top 5 things guys can do to keep their girlfriends happy.
And I'm gonna give you guys number 5. You don't smother your girl. That's one thing that you don't want to do. You
Okay.
want to give your girl some time apart from you, but let her know that it's not a break. Maybe 1 or 2 days, 3 or 4, whatever you decide, or how much you guys seeing each other, because you don't want her to get tired of you and just don't want to be around you. So make sure that you give her some kind of space so that she will miss you and appreciates it when she sees you.
Number 4, be spontaneous, fellas. Don't be the same old guy in her all of her relationship. Dinner in the movie, that's cool and all, but at times that becomes so predictable that it doesn't even become fun anymore. So why not try something new? Try out different restaurants, different ethnic foods, just different things in general. Try out a whole different atmosphere. Do something that you've never done before in like your whole life. I understand that it's a recession right now and you don't want to spend a lot of money. So why not try this? Have a picnic at the park or at the beach or freaking go for a walk or something. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money just to make your girl happy. Just do the simple things in life that make things fun in the first place.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add on to that a little bit. Just make sure whatever you do is outside of your comfort zone. Don't stay within that same thing because it gets boring. It gets plain. It gets so predictable. And when you become that means you got a little too comfortable. But don't get comfortable in your relationship. Make sure you keep it exciting and be an outgoing person. Don't be in a closed box. Just really get it out there and just keep going.
Number 3, trust. Trust is a key element in keeping your relationship together in the first place. Because if you can't trust your girl, you might as well not be with her at all in the first place. Because you don't want to have to worry all the time, like, if she talks to some other guy, if I'm not talking to her, if I'm not with her, she was some other guy, etc., etc. You have to start trusting your girl. In order to start trusting your girl, you sometimes have to ease up off your guard a little bit and see what happens. So you gotta be ready to trust people, especially in a relationship in the first place.
Yeah, and make sure you don't get mad when she goes out with her homegirls. That may sound a little crazy, but I know a lot of guys that get mad when girls go out with their homegirls. Like I said from number 5, you have to make sure you give your girl that space and that leeway. You have to trust your girlfriend. And if you know that she messed with a lot of guys, in the first place, you shouldn't have messed with her in the first place. So
There you
trust
go.
is good. Number 2,
Two, two, two.
dos.
Guys, if you have a best friend that's a girl, before you ask this girl to be with you and you know she's gonna say yes, you gotta come at her straight. Say, listen, I have some girls that are friends, and I have a girl that's my best friend that I've known her since freaking elementary school or high school. You have to let her know that up front and let her meet her too, because most girls, not all of them, are very uncomfortable with guys being with other girls that are friends because it's a new relationship and you're already hanging out with some other girl. Like, who is she? Who is that? How long you known her? Then the questions start. So it's best to keep it on the table in the first place.
And to add on to that, when you have a girl that is your best friend and she really means a lot to you, that should always be one of the first things you bring up when you start talking to a girl.
Nice.
Because just like he said, I'm going to comment on what he said. Your girlfriend might want to know who you're texting all the time, who you're talking to. So make sure that that does come into play. Make sure that she knows that this is just my best friend. That's all she is, and that's all she will ever be. So make sure that you do that, and your relationship will be just fine.
And the number one thing
Number one.
guys have to do is communicate, communicate, communicate. Now, it may sound very simple and easy, but to most people, it's harder than it looks. The reason why I say this is because you gotta not only listen, but you have to talk. Girls like to vent and everything, that's cool and all, but you sometimes have to get feedback, actually have a conversation. Sometimes it's easier over a text message, or maybe it's easier for you over a phone. But either way it goes, you have to get some input on what they say. Because most girls will say, okay, what do you think about that? And they're looking with your thumb in your mouth like, what? And then she's like, oh, he wasn't listening? You're like, yeah, I was. What did I say? I agree. And then there you go again. She gets mad at you. She can't talk to you. which means what, fellas? That she's gonna probably talk to somebody else. May not be one of her girlfriends, maybe a guy friend. Who knows? It's up to you, man.
And basically, is with that, you don't want a girl to talk to another guy about your relationship. That's why
Oh,
communication is important because she might get on the phone and start talking to another guy and saying what you're doing wrong and everything. You don't want another guy knowing all your business or inside of your relationship because he can use that to utilize what he wants to do in the relationship. He could take all that and say, well, what he's doing wrong, I'll do right. And that's a lot of ways guys lose their girlfriends. And that's why a lot of guys really don't think communication is important. They don't think it's important, but it really is important. It's like a milestone, a stepping stone in your relationship. Make sure you give her your undivided attention because that could be a make or break in your relationship. So make sure you keep your communication strong and you won't have any problems.
okay, YouTubers, this has been Montreal and BJ. For those of you who like the video, please subscribe, push like. If you don't like it, push unlike. It's up to you. And for those topics we didn't cover about how to keep a relationship going, why don't you just go ahead and comment below and even make a video response. If there's any videos you want us to make in the future, just inbox us, no problem, and we'll get back to you.
Yep, let us know what you think.
Later, YouTubers.
Deuces.